Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Rihanna. YouTube. Good morning. Good morning, Glency. Good morning, Candace. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I think it's just us three right now. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Yolanda. Good morning, Antonia. I'm moving a little slow this morning. Good 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 morning. Invite you to please click like and share. Good morning. Folks must be still a little sleepy like me, huh? Good morning. I don't know why I'm unable to share this anymore. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. Come on in the room. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, Baba. Good morning, Dr. Vernita. Y'all, my back is hurting. Good morning. I need a new chair. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. I'm experiencing a little discomfort this morning. Good morning, Tammy and Michael and Sonia over on YouTube. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Y'all, I've just been doing some thinking, and shout out to those of you who were in the clearing on yesterday and the clearing part 2, which is an incubator space. An incubator space for folks to come to discern, to consider next steps around their vocation coming from the Latin word vocare, calling, considering what their next most faithful steps are in their calling, particularly in the calling of social entrepreneurship. And so we were richly blessed on yesterday by 6 conductors. We use the term conductor to frame or as a method of liberation, taking conductors from that name, from those who served as conductors, as guides on the Underground Railroad, assisting to free enslaved Africans as they made their way from the Deep South up through the North, and for some ultimately to Canada. And so conductors are those who have taken the journey to spiritual freedom, to financial freedom, to emotional freedom, who have the ability to then come back in, in the legacy of Araminsa and the legacy of Harriet Tubman, who have the ability to come back and get those of us who are still desiring. And so it is always a lot in a good way, a lot of information, a lot being downloaded and it was just beautiful. And so I'm just really grateful for those who were present. You should have received an email with all of your credentials in the email, and I'm just thankful. It will be packaged for purchase for those who could not come to one or two, but yet desire the information. And so I'm thankful, and yet I'm also just really, I'm exhausted, and yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm exhausted. But it was a good time spent. I would just draw your attention to Saturday, August 6th. Saturday, August 6th. If you would go to Natasha, if you can pull up the link to the womanistmarketplace.com. I want to share with you all that on Saturday, August 6th, we will Pink Robe Chronicles in partnership. That means Pink Robe Chronicles and the Katie Geneva Cannon Center for Womanist Leadership are partnering together in search of Cannon's Gardens, as we will take a womanist pilgrimage to the gravesite of Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon. For those of you who are joining and you do not know who Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon is, she is now an ancestor. She is a progenitor of womanist ethics and womanist theology. She is a mother of the movement. She was the first African American woman to be ordained in the Presbyterian Church USA, a formidable scholar, a kind soul, and it is through her engagement with authors like Alice Walker and texts like In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, with authors like Zora Neale Hurston and others, that we receive the charge to do the work that our souls must have, to do the work that our souls must have. And so we are going to pay homage to her in her hometown of Kannapolis, North Carolina. We are going to come together and engage in ritual and honoring our great elder ancestor, and to hear what she has to say to us from the other side. And so I invite you to come. Good morning to those of you that are just joining. I invite you to come and to journey with us, as it will be a good time. If you want, there are two ways that you can journey with us. You can get on the bus in Richmond, Virginia. You can get on the bus in Richmond, Virginia at the campus of Union Presbyterian Seminary, which is the campus where she last served, and with Director Reverend Melanie Jones and the staff and other folks who are a part of the center. And you can drive down with them, and then, of course, a round trip ticket and drive back. That ticket is $60, and it includes your food, it includes your travel, it includes a nice swag bag that you will receive. Or you might decide that you want to drive on your own, that you are in close enough proximity, or you want to fly. The closest place you could fly in is to Charlotte, and it's about 40 to 45 minutes from Charlotte. And you might decide you want to drive there. And so that cost is $40. And also that will cover the cost of your food and any other administrative fees that are related to this. So I just want to take a moment and invite you all there. It was, if those of you who watched my Facebook, who read my Facebook post, it was a desire of Miss Corrine, who is Dr. Cannon's mom. I think Miss Corrine might be now maybe 102. And don't quote me, but she's definitely over 100. And when we went to go visit the gravesite, she was gracious enough to come with us, and she said that it was her desire that, in her words, quote, that Katie's students would come and fellowship and be together. And so I'm just glad, and again, thankful to the Womanist Center and Reverend Melanie and staff, and for pulling the logistics together. And we will be there. So welcome, welcome, welcome to all you who are joining, and to those who are who will join. I want to I want to 76. Something that's been sitting on me, not, a formally written sermon, but something, two things that have been sitting on me. And this one, I was just reminded as I was talking to about Dr. Cannon. Good morning, Miranda. Good to see you. Good morning to everyone on YouTube. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Reggie. Good morning, Marquita Walker. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Erica. Jackson and Bateson. Good morning, Sonia and Reverend Winter. Good morning, Jamie and Michael. Good morning, Yolanda. Good morning, Carmen. Good morning, everyone. It is good to see you. So while I was in DC, I always one of my favorite restaurants is Busboys and Poets. If you are in the DMV area, I just appreciate the concept. It is a liberated space that includes, activism, food, education, and you can purchase books there, eat good food, have good beverages. And so when I'm able, I always go there when I'm in DC, and I never leave when I go there without a book. So this time I picked up this book, Zora Neale Hurston's You Don't Know Us Negroes. For those of you, Zora Neale Hurston was an anthropologist, attended Howard University, and a formidable anthropologist, and she transitioned without the fanfare that she should have received. And so she was buried in an unmarked grave, and it was Alice Walker who found her grave and later purchased a tombstone, a marker, an appropriate marker to honor her life and her legacy. And so she does the early work in studying, doing what we call ethnographic work, ethnography, the study of observing culture, of observing African American culture and providing for us the findings and what do those findings do? Those findings share with us, in the words of a mentor of hers, Melville Herskovitz, that the Negro or the African American actually does have a past. The text is called the myth of the Negro past. That African Americans absolutely have a past, and how that past is connected to various cultures on the continent. And so she provides for us. Just walk with me, y'all, as I'm slowly gonna walk into this, and we're gonna find our groove and movement, ashe. And so there are two things. They're a little related, not directly, but you know how spirit sort of moves us. So there's sort of two texts that I just want to raise. This one comes out of the chapter called Spirituals and Neo-Spirituals. Spirituals and Neo-Spirituals. I want to read here for us. I want to use this as a metaphor, an analogy. And so I want to invite you to really listen. Don't click away, don't pass go, but to really listen. You might think, "Well, what does this have to do?" Just really, really listen. Spirituals and neo-spirituals. The real spirituals are not really just songs. They are unceasing variations around a theme. Contrary to popular belief, their creation is not confined to the slavery period. Let me read that sentence again. Contrary to popular belief, their creation is not confined to the slavery period. Like the folk tales, the spirituals are being made and forgotten every day. There is this difference. The makers of the songs of the present go about from town to town and church to church singing their songs. Some are printed and called ballads and offered for sale after the services at 10 and 15 cents each. Others just go about singing them in competition with other religious minstrels. Zora. The lifting of the collection is the time for the song battles. quite a bit of rivalry develops. These songs, even the printed ones, do not remain long in their original form. Here's where I want you to listen. Listen, and remember, I'm using this as a metaphor in place of something. Listen, these songs, even the printed ones, do not remain long in their original form. Every congregation that takes it up alters it considerably. For instance, the Dying Bedmaker, which is easily the most popular of the recent compositions, has been changed to He's a Mind Regulator by a Baptist church in New Orleans. The idea that the whole body of spirituals are sorrow songs is ridiculous. They cover a wide range of subjects, from a peeve at gossipers to death and judgment. The nearest thing to a description one can reach is that they are Negro religious songs, sung by a group, and a group bent on expression of feelings and not on sound effects. There never has been a presentation, somebody tag Tony McNeil. There never has been a presentation of genuine Negro spirituals to any audience anywhere. What is being sung by the concert artists and glee clubs are the works. Stay with me. Stay with me. I know, so I sense it. Some of y'all like, what does this have to do? Stay with me. What is being sung by the concert artists and glee clubs are the works of Negro composers or adapters based on the spirituals. Under this head come the works of, and then she names the names of those who have these works. All good work and beautiful, but not the spirituals. These new spirituals are the outgrowth of glee clubs. Fisk University boasts perhaps the oldest and certainly the most famous of these. They have spread their interpretation over America and Europe. Hampton and Tuskegee have not been unheard. But with all the glee club and soloists, there has not been one genuine spiritual presented. To begin with, Negro spirituals are not solo or quartet material. Stay right here, y'all. To begin with, Negro spirituals are not solo or quartet material. To begin with, Negroes are not solo or quartet material. To begin with, you are not a solo or quartet material. The jagged harmony is what makes it, and it ceases to be what it was when this is absent. It ceases, the spiritual, you, it ceases to be what it was when the jagged harmony is removed. It ceases to be when its cover is taken over by more presentable, colonizing concepts of what it means to present. Oh, come through here. It ceases to be what it was when this is absent. Neither can any group be trained to reproduce it. Kyle Wooten, neither can any group be trained to reproduce it. Folks cannot be trained to reproduce what is inherent here. Folks cannot be trained to reproduce a lived experience. Folks cannot be trained to reproduce your lived experience. Jesus. Its truth dies under training like flowers under hot water. The harmony of the true spiritual is not regular. Y'all see what I'm doing here? The harmony of the true spiritual is not regular. The dissonances are important and not to be ironed out by the trained musician. I wanna come back. I want to come back. Listen, so if you're just joining, I'm reading this section on spirituals and neo-spirituals. And I'm using the spirituals and neo-spirituals the way that Zora Neale Hurston is sharing with us for us to really consider the ways that we have often assimilated or put down our ways of knowing and being to be more palatable. And what Neil Hurston is saying here is that in the case when what we have thought to be Negro spirituals are really not Negro spirituals at all. It is really, in some ways, how she identifies a type of religious minstrelsy. So the question is, what kinds of minstrelsy? What kind of minstrelsy do we continue to perpetuate? And so, what she is inviting us to do through her observation in our culture is she has observed to understand that at the heart of what a Negro spiritual is this jagged harmony. And without, think of something jagged, jagged, where someone would say is opposite of refined, for Hurston is lifting up that jagged here is good, that it is the jagged edge, if you will, pun intended, my goodness. It is the jagged edge. It is the jagged edge of our lived experiences that is the beauty, right? And that no one can be trained. There is no training that can reproduce the jagged edge of what it means you feeling your intersection, of what it means to be a Black woman in America, of what it means to be a queer person, of what it means. No trained eye can reproduce that jagged edge. Yes, yes, Sonia. Yes, take off the gloves. Ashe? Okay. Because when you try to reproduce it, oh Spirit, I see how you're connecting this to the next text. My God. Sheesh. When you try to reproduce it, this jagged harmony, its truth dies. Because the harmony of the true spiritual is not regular. I need you to get this. The dissonances are important and not to be ironed out by the trained musician. Dr. Russell, the dissonances. Let me go get this definition right quick for us. Dissonance, lack of harmony among musical terms, among musical notes. Dissonance, a tension or clash resulting from the combination of two disharmonious or unsuitable elements. But here, Hurston is speaking opposite of that, where she is saying, listen, these dissonances are important. What others see as disharmony is actually necessary. The jagged harmony is necessary, not to be put together neatly in a box. Not for you to keep trying to fit in this neat box. Not to overlook your dissonances, because your dissonances are what make you you. My goodness. Your dissonances that cannot be reproduced via training are important and not to be ironed out. The various parts break in at any old time. Falsetto often takes the place of regular voices for short periods. Keys change. Moreover, each singing of the piece is a new creation. The congregation is bound by no rules. No two times singing is alike, so that we must consider the rendition of a song not as a final thing, but as a mood. Jesus. It won't be the same thing next Sunday. My God, y'all. My God, y'all. Yes, Dr. Russell. There is a reason why we have minor keys, dissonances, and modulations. Kyle, if you have not read this Spirituals and Neo-Spirituals of Zora Neale Hurston, listen. Negro songs to be heard truly must be sung by a group, and a group bent on expression of feelings and not on sound effects. If you think I'm just solely talking about the spirituals, then you're missing it. You are the spiritual. You are the Negro spiritual. Put yourself right there. That's what we're talking about. Glee clubs and concert singers put on their tuxedos, how bow prettily to the audience, get the pitch and burst into magnificent song, but not Negro song. The real Negro singer cares nothing about pitch. The first notes just burst out and the rest of the church join in, fired by the same inner urge. Every man, every person trying to express themselves through song, every person for themselves. Hence the harmony and disharmony, the shifting keys and broken time that make up the spiritual. What makes up the spiritual? The harmony and the disharmony. Stay there. The shifting keys and the broken time. My God. Yes, geez. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere. I have noticed that whenever an untampered with congregation attempts let me slow down because I'm get it's coming so quickly. I have noticed that whenever an untampered with congregation I'm taking a moment for you to get it, and untampered with attempts the renovated spirituals, the people grow self-conscious. I'm going to read the sentence for you again. I have noticed that whenever an untampered with congregation attempts the renovated spirituals, the people grow self-conscious. Why they grow self-conscious? They sing sheepishly in unison. None of the glorious individualistic fights that make up their own songs. Perhaps they feel on strange ground. Like the unlettered parent before his child just home from college. At any rate, they are not very popular. This is no condemnation of the new spirituals. They are a valuable contribution to the music and literature of the world. But let no one imagine that they are the songs of the people as sung by them. I have noticed that whenever an untampered with congregation, I have noticed that whenever an untampered with soul attempts to assimilate, the people grow self-conscious. They lean into their calling sheepishly. Oh, as if they are self-conscious. And perhaps this assimilation, this is my rephrase, this assimilation makes them feel as if they are on strange ground, that they are not free. No condemnation to strategy, for there is a valuable contribution to strategy. Come on in here. Come on in here. A valuable contribution. But let no one imagine that this assimilation is the way of the people. Woo! Elder. Yeah. The lack of dialect in the religious expression, particularly in the prayers, will seem irregular. The truth is that religious service is a conscious art of expression. The truth is that the religious service is a conscious art expression. Here she's really talking about what I'm naming Black vocal art. Black vocal art. The truth is that religious service is a conscious art expression. The artist is consciously creating, carefully choosing every syllable and every breath. The dialect breaks through only when the speaker has reached the emotional pitch where he loses self-consciousness. In the mouth of the Negro, the English language loses its stiffness, yet conveys its meaning accurately. Y'all, J. Exodus Hooper, Dr. J. Exodus Hooper, y'all. Woo, let me take my other earring off because Mother Zora has come to set us free. She talking about Negro spirituals, but the actual music, but we are the Negro spiritual. We have placed ourselves as the Negro spiritual. And basically what she is saying to us is, what you believe that you have been doing is not actually what you have been doing. You have been trying to recreate that which cannot be recreated, because in your recreation, you have overlooked the authenticity, those dissonances. As you have overlooked and tried to refine the jagged harmony of your lived experience, and it has thwarted your progress. It has made you self-conscious. And as a result of making you self-conscious, it doesn't come out the same. It doesn't sound the same. Why? Because you don't understand that what you hold in your performance of life and your performance of your lived religions is black vocal art. This conscious expression that when you attempt to assimilate, you mute your consciousness. Come on and let's get conscientized. You mute your consciousness, Jesus. Because why? You then begin to carefully choose every syllable and every breath. And every time you begin to overthink, you become critical. Overly critical of yourself and of your offerings. You begin to measure yourself up against things that it doesn't need to be measured from, because you don't realize that you are the black vocal art. You don't, Jesus. Woo! Mama Zora Neale Hurston. In the mouth of the Negro, she says, the English language loses its stiffness yet conveys its meaning accurately. The booming boundaries of this whirling world conveys just as accurate a picture as mere boundaries. And a little music is gained besides. The rim bones of nothing is just as truthful as limitless space. So here's the art. It is the way that we paint a picture, the way that black preachers paint a picture. So I'll say it again. So I might say, the booming boundaries of this whirling world. She says it conveys an accurate picture, but a more robust picture than just simply saying the boundaries. This Negro singing, she says, and formal speech are breathy. The audible breathing is part of the performance, and various devices are resorted to adorn the breathtaking. Even the lack of breath, I can't breathe. Even the lack of breath is embellished with syllables. This is, of course, the very antithesis of white vocal arts. European singing is considered good when each syllable floats out on a column of air, seeming not to have any mechanics at all. Breathing must be hidden. Negro song ornaments both the song and the mechanics. It is said of a popular preacher, he got a good straining voice. And I will make a parable to illustrate the difference between the Negro and the European. A white man built a house, so he got it built, and he told the man, quote, plaster it good so that nobody can see the beams and the uprights, end quote. So he did. Then he had it papered with beautiful paper and painted the outside. And a Negro built him a house. So when he got the beams and all in, he carved beautiful grotesques all over the sills and stanchions and beams and rafters. So both went to live in their houses and were happy. The well-known ha of the Negro preacher is a breathing device. It is the tail end of the expulsion just before inhalation. Instead of permitting the breath to drain out when the wind gets too low for words, the remnant is expelled violently. Example, and full breath, my Father and my wonder-working God. Explosive exhalation, ha. Chants and hums are not used indiscriminately as it would appear to a casual listener. They have a definite place and they are used to bear up the speaker. I want to pause here on this and allow for you can go read this, the latter part of this on your own. The part that I wanted to really grab for us is this idea of harmony and disharmony, harmony and disharmony, and what happens when we attempt, when we do not create balance between the two, where we do not acknowledge that two things are true at the same time, that it is actually the harmony and the disharmony that create the beauty. It is actually the harmony and the disharmony that create the beauty. So with that, right, with this jagged harmony, with our attempts to reproduce, I want to go now and take another text to sort of draw this out even more. Let me fix my back pillow, y'all. My. Whew. So when I first read this is not the first time I read it, but it's the first time I read it and made this comparison. I was halted on this need to reproduce, that my own training, the ways in which those things that are most precious about how I show up in the world, that in other ways it is threatening, and as a result, I think that we stunt our progress. We halt our progress because we become so self-conscious about how we are showing up. This is a kind of respectability. This is probably what she's describing in the spirituals and neo-spirituals really is, I think, the beginnings of respectability, certainly for those who were migrating from the South to the North, to the Midwest and Far West. When one arrived to these new spaces, their assimilation or onboarding process was a reminder that here we do things in a more refined way. We don't belt out. We don't sing out of place. We, are trained, and because we want to be looked at and perceived in a particular way. And there are so many ways that this kind of respectability interrupts our progress, halts our participation in our own livelihood, both individually and collectively. And so it makes me think of, or I put that in conversation because I was also reflecting on this text from Deuteronomy. And that text is Deuteronomy 1:1. These are the words that Moses spoke to all Israel beyond the Jordan in the wilderness by way of Mount Seir. It takes 11 days to get to Kadesh Barnea from Horeb. And in the 40th year, on the first day of the 11th month, Moses spoke to the Israelites just as the Lord had commanded him to speak to them, saying in verse 6, the Lord our God spoke to us at Horeb, saying, and here it is, you have stayed long enough at this mountain. Resume your journey. You have stayed long enough at this mountain. Resume your journey. You have stayed long enough at this mountain. Resume your journey. What this text by Hurston did for me as I considered this text in Deuteronomy is really called me to resume a particular kind of journey that at its core calls me to be free. The journey toward liberation, the journey toward not being confined, the journey to living into who I authentically am, the journey of being me, rough around the edges, Ashe, the journey towards assimilation thwarted, stopped, halted some of the journey because it made me forget. Hey, sheesh. Whew, I just feel this so deeply in my body, my gosh. Oh, Lord, y'all, give me a minute. It made me forget or make a decision not to honor the jagged harmony of our history as Black people in the diaspora, my own personal jagged harmony, and in an attempt to make my way through society, some of us have been made to believe that the train sound is better than the jagged harmony, that the dissonances have no place, that there's no need for modulation. But those are indeed, that is what Kimberly Daniel and Stephen Lewis talk about as the ingenious grit. Our ability to take the jagged harmonies, our ability to lean into our own Black vocal art, our ability to do this lifts what they call this ingenious grit. This ingenious grit is our innovation, is evident in our ability to make ways out of no ways. Oh, and when we fail to acknowledge making a way out of no way, my goodness, as the ability to unlock our individual, human, and collective potential, then we will often always find ourselves feeling self-conscious about the ways that we show up. We will often always find that others who have fully assimilated are threatened by our ability to be free. My God, today, I know I'm saying a word. I know. Resume your journey. You have gone around this mountain long enough is the second telling of the story that is being told to the generation after the generation of the Hebrew people that God had delivered from the hands of those that were oppressing God. Yay! Yay, 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 yay. What do I mean? After their folks were complaining and not leaning into their own jagged harmonies as a people, who are said to be called by God. And in their inability to lean into who they were, in their inability to do so, it caused them, instead of being given the short route, they were given the long route. And so the generation prior to them ended up wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. That's what happens. Hey! That's what happens when you are unable to be who you are. That's what happens when you are disobedient to your own authenticity. That's what happens when you refuse to remember your ancestral ways of knowing and being. You become a wanderer. They were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. And so once they died off and the generation, their children's children now are preparing for their own trek, the word that they received from Moses is that you have been going around this mountain long enough. You keep going around this mountain believing, this is me inserting, this is me joining, paraphrasing, using my gift of Black vocal art. This is me adding into, you you keep going around this mountain, these institutional mountains, these systemic mountains, these organizational mountains, these denominational mountains, these ordination mountains. You keep going around these mountains, hoping that you will somehow find your way through those who don't get you, through those who can't see you, through those who are attempting to silence your jagged harmony. You keep going around this mountain. Lord speaks to Moses, says you need to resume your journey. You need to start singing again. Yay. Come on, metaphor. You need to start singing again. Yeah. See, the problem is that you trying to sing in tune. Hurston just told us, the Negro be singing. They ain't concerned about pitch. This has to do with emotion. This has to do with feeling. Your black vocal art is not concerned, honey. No disregard and disrespect to my musicians and my professors, because Kyle, you know I love you, and Tony, and I know you're getting what I'm saying. We not, that's not what we're doing here. They're saying that from in your gut, hey, you get this? That what interrupts you is when you stop feeling. What interrupts you is when you start attempting to make it look like what it's not. Yes, Dr. Bogues, resume your journey and sing a new song. Some of us, we need a new song, all of us collectively. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Speak, Spirit. Yeah, we need new songs. The generations prior, we give thanks. Ashe. And this is no disregard. But even for those in the work of Dr. Robert, Reverend Dr. Nakia Robert, calling for abolition. Nat Turner called for abolition. Others have called for abolition, but the way that some are calling for abolition in the way of her work in the abolitionist sanctuary is a new song. Ashe. It's a new song that some would say, we're not singing that song. We're not getting ready to sing that. It's a new song. And some who are stuck on the mountain of what was, stuck on the ways of generations prior and before. Y'all, 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 it's a new song. I don't know what your mountain is. I know what some of our collective mountains are. I don't know what your individual mountain is. But whatever it is, you know it. And you ain't got to think hard about it. You know what it is. Mhm. And we together know what some of our collective mountains are. The word that is coming to us today is that we have been going around this mountain long enough. We have been going around the mountain of respectability and white supremacy and misogynoir and patriarchy, of transphobia, of homophobia, of heterosexism, of militarism, of capitalism. We have been going around this mountain of ableism. We have been going around this mountain long enough. Resume your journey. Now, admittedly, for transparency's sake, I didn't read the rest of the text because the rest of it is a little problematic for me because it's around possession. The very next verse, I think it's verse 7 says, so go ahead and take possession of the land. What's the problem I have with that? Oh, that allegedly God would have a chosen people, that then God would kick people off the land who were already on the land. That's a problem for me. That is a problematic performance of power for me. But if I wanted to remix a little bit about possession, it would be more around taking possession, if there is any land, that we are the landmass, taking possession of our own destinies, taking possession of our journeys. And when we do so, we understand, because we do it with equity and equality at the center, wherein how we distribute power, our distribution of power has at the very base of it equity and equality. Friends, 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 friends. My God, today, thank you, Spirit. I do want to acknowledge before I close that it's a struggle. Listen, it's a struggle to stop going around the same mountain. Yeah, what are you saying, Melva? Because mountains become familiar. Yeah. You get familiar with the groove of a mountain. My goodness. You get familiar. Come on and let's do this body work. We know that the body holds memory, right? We know that it keeps score, that the memory is held in the DNA. And that's why sometimes you can, if you're driving on the highway, you can miss, you can get off too soon. I've done this. I'm supposed to be going somewhere else and I get off on the exit. That's my exit to go home, because my body is just trained to go that way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just trained to go that way. You understand what I'm saying? And so what can often happen is that we can get so used to going around the mountains. And some of these mountains, can I just say a word? Some of these mountains are human built. Oh, my goodness. Meaning some of these mountains we made. But we can get so used to going around these mountains that we fear what can be in the opposite direction. Another thing is, I was watching this movie, this series on Netflix yesterday, and dang, I forget what it's called. Maybe Flight or Breathe. Maybe it's called Breathe. Maybe it's called Breathe. It's about, which is interesting. It Breathe is about this woman. She's a lawyer and she's trying to get to this part in Alaska, and there are no more planes going that way. And so she catches a flight, catches a ride with these two um, people who say that they work for National Geographic, and they're going to this remote place in Alaska. Only they get on this little Cessna plane, and the plane crashes into the water, and the two people that she's on the flight with dies, right? And so she finds herself now alone, having to find a way of escape because it is a remote area. And so then she begins to move through the mountain where she was, trying to find her way home. But while she is trying to find her way home, the way that the movie is written, it is really her ability to go back in her past. Her past is actually saving her, meaning she has a memory of remembering how to make a compass as a Girl Scout, which then she goes and makes a compass so she knows which way she's going. All of these memories of her past begin to flood her so that she can figure out how to move through this mountain so that she can get to safety. So as she starts to move through the mountain, she, puts these little markers on various trees so that she can remember which way she went. So now she's excited that she has this compass and she believes that she's going the right way, only to get interrupted by one particular memory that was not a helpful memory, and to find that she had been walking in circles. So she sees these foot tracks, and she believes that they are foot tracks of of somebody else. So she starts screaming, "Hey, hey, hey, is anybody out there?" Only to look down at her own shoe to realize that it was her foot track. My goodness, that she had been going in circles. And the only way that she was able to go forward, she had a momentary breakdown. One of her, relatives who had been deceased came to her and start talking to her and reminding her who she is. And that, I think, is what Hurston's text does for us this morning. That is what this text in Deuteronomy reminds for us. It gives to us the story, yes, of ancestors, a story of the generations before, and what the downfall was, as a reminder to us that we don't have to walk in the same circles. But it also shares with us for us not to disavow those parts of ourselves, those authentic parts of ourselves, of our history, of our culture, of our ways and knowing and being, just so that we can assimilate, just so that we can say we are part of, just so that we can be respected from the perspective of a colonizing concept. But the reason oftentimes why many of us live these disparate or kind of interrupted lives is because we have not really figured out how to live fully into, authentically into who we are. And the moment that we do that is the moment that we will be free. Is the moment that we will be free. Ashe. 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 Yes, Jay. Yes, and knowing your soul roots, you will need to restore the hope and reestablish and starting with epigenetics of Black creativity in the world. It will break yokes of normativization. Ashe. Yes, 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 taking possessions of our authenticities. Yes, V. Michael McKay wrote a song that says, "You have stayed at this mountain too long, oh, too long. Move, get out of the way." Yes, 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 yes. Mm, mm, mm. Friends, I want to thank you for being with us this morning. It is my prayer that you will resume your journey. I invite you to come on over with us to the clearing. The link has already been posted. For those of you, the clearing is another space that we talk back to the text and have a few more moments of sacred conversation beyond the gaze. So I invite you to come over with us. It is a beautiful space. I want to thank you and just really strongly encourage. This message was as much as it was for me. It was for me as much as it was for you, for me to be reminded and to just really lean into. I want to read this sentence again. Mama Hurston just will not let me go. And I just want to do a creative shifting. This is how I'm ending. I'm going to put my name, you put your name. To begin with, Melva, you are not a solo or a quartet. Your jagged harmony is what makes you, and it ceases to be. You cease to be who you are when your jagged harmony is absent. No other group, no other person being trained can reproduce it. They can't reproduce you. Can't reproduce it. And when you cease to possess your authenticity, your truth dies. Your truth dies. Natasha, can you put the link in over on YouTube, please? Your truth dies under training like flowers under hot water. Your harmony is not regular. Your dissonances are important and not to be ironed out by the trained eye. The various parts of your authenticity break in at any old time. Falsetto often takes the place of regular voices for short periods. Keys change. You are bound by no rules. No two times that you show up are alike. So that we must consider the rendition of your song not as a final thing, but as a mood. Y'all, Zora Neale Hurston, let it be known that Zora Neale Hurston is the first to give us mood. I am riffing off of the text, Zora Neale Hurston's You Don't Know Us Negroes, and other essays that has been edited with the introduction by Henry Louis Gates Jr. and Genevieve West. So some of these essays appear in other texts of hers. So if you have the Sanctified Church, Spirituals and Neo-Spirituals is also in that. I'm riffing, though, off of this, engaging my Black vocal art, Ashe. Hence the harmony and disharmony, the shifting keys and the broken time are what make up you, the spiritual. Ashe, what make up you, the spiritual. Ashe, 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 oh. Thank you. For those of you who sow into this ministry, I thank you in advance. You can do so here at our Pink Robe Chronicles PayPal page. You can also share with us via Venmo. I think, let's see, I'll put that in right quick. Or Zelle. For my YouTube folks. Ashe, thank you. For my YouTube folks, you can use the email drmelvasampson@gmail.com. If you are Zelle, drmelvasampson@gmail.com, or Venmo, Melva-Sampson, Melva-Sampson. I'm thanking you in advance for these offerings as they will go to support the Cariel Das Memorial Book Scholarship, which is a scholarship that is offered to women of African descent who are attending HBCUs in their first year. We are excited this year. We usually have 3. We have 4. And I'm just really excited. I have also added to the requirements that at least one student identify as LGBT plus. And I'm really, doesn't have to be out, but have identify. And so I am excited that we are fulfilling that and doing that work. Cariel Das is my cousin who was murdered 2 years ago in her senior year, and who did not have the opportunity to go to college. And so we renamed this scholarship that we give to these young Black women, very modest scholarship. And so the more folks give, the more we're able to give. It is our goal to give each person a minimum of $500 to help them on their book journey. If you have gone to college, then you know that the books are no joke. And so I invite you to give, and to give generously, so that we can do this work and get these babies what they need, so that they will be able to at least have, not so that they can be what they need to be. Ashe. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all in the clearing. Until next week.